The city was a harsh mistress, its streets a labyrinth of despair and broken dreams. Daniel, barely a man, knew this all too well. His youth had been stolen by the relentless grind of survival. He'd sought solace at the bottom of a bottle, but it offered only fleeting comfort, a temporary escape from the harsh reality. The streets were his home, unforgiving and cold, a constant reminder of his fall from grace. Each day was a struggle, a blur of hunger, thirst, and despair. The fight for survival left little room for hope. Daniel had known better times, times filled with warmth and love. A loving family, a promising future, all washed away by a tide of bad choices and unfortunate circumstances. Alcohol had promised escape, but it delivered only deeper sorrow, pulling him further into the abyss. He'd tried to climb out of the abyss, but each attempt ended in a painful fall, leaving him more broken than before. Hope seemed a distant, flickering flame. He felt utterly alone, lost in a sea of indifference. The world rushed by, oblivious to his pain, each passerby a reminder of the life he once had. People avoided his gaze, their faces a mix of pity and disgust, as if his misfortune was contagious. He was invisible, a ghost haunting the fringes of society, a shadow among shadows. He'd resigned himself to this life, believing that redemption was beyond his grasp, that he was beyond saving. Then, one chilly evening as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city, everything changed. A glimmer of hope appeared. It began with a simple encounter, a chance meeting that would alter the course of Daniel's life forever, igniting a spark of change. Daniel sat huddled in a doorway, seeking shelter from the biting wind. His stomach growled, a constant reminder of his empty existence. A figure approached, their features obscured by the gathering darkness. Daniel braced himself for the usual dismissive glance, the hurried footsteps moving away. But this encounter was different. The figure stopped in front of him, their face bathed in the warm glow of a street lamp. It was a young man, not much older than Daniel himself. His eyes held a kindness that Daniel had almost forgotten existed. "Rough day?" the man asked, his voice gentle. Daniel hesitated, surprised by the man's tone. He wasn't used to kindness, to genuine concern. "You could say that," he mumbled, averting his eyes. The man smiled, a disarmingly warm gesture. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, gesturing to the pavement beside Daniel. Daniel shrugged, unsure how to respond. No one had ever asked to join him in his misery before. He watched as the man settled down beside him, seemingly unfazed by the dirt and the cold. The man's name was Simon, and he possessed an easy charm that belied a quiet strength. His presence was calming, almost magnetic, drawing people in with an unspoken promise of understanding. He spoke of hope, of second chances, of a light that shone even in the darkest of times. His words were not just empty rhetoric, they were filled with a conviction that came from lived experience. Daniel listened, at first with skepticism, then with growing curiosity. He had heard many promises before, but something about Simon's sincerity made him want to believe. Simon didn't offer platitudes or empty promises. Instead, he shared his own journey, his own battles with despair and moments of triumph. He spoke of his own struggles, of times when he'd felt lost and alone. His honesty was a beacon, a reminder that even in the darkest times, one is never truly alone. He shared stories of resilience, of ordinary people overcoming extraordinary challenges. These tales were not just stories, they were testaments to the human spirit's indomitable will. He spoke of a power greater than themselves, a force that could heal even the deepest wounds. This power, he believed, was within everyone's reach if they only dared to believe. Daniel found himself drawn to Simon's words. They were like a lifeline, pulling him from the depths of his despair. They resonated deep within him, stirring something that had long lain dormant, hope. It was a fragile thing, easily extinguished, but it was there nonetheless. It was a fragile thing, easily extinguished, but it was there nonetheless. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Daniel felt a glimmer of possibility, a flicker of belief that maybe, just maybe, his life could be different. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Daniel felt a glimmer of possibility, a flicker of belief that maybe, just maybe, his life could be different. This newfound hope was like a seed, small and delicate, but with the potential to grow into something beautiful. Simon's visits became a regular occurrence. Each visit was a reminder that someone believed in him, that he was not alone in his journey. He brought food, warm clothing, and most importantly, his unwavering belief in Daniel's potential. This belief was a powerful force, one that began to change the way Daniel saw himself. He encouraged Daniel to believe in himself, to see beyond his current circumstances, and envision a brighter future. With each passing day, Daniel's confidence grew, nurtured by Simon's steadfast support and the power of belief. Simon didn't just offer words of encouragement, he took concrete steps to help Daniel rebuild his life. He knew that actions spoke louder than words, and he was determined to make a real difference. He helped Daniel find a place at a local shelter, a safe haven from the harsh realities of the streets. It wasn't just a roof over his head, it was a place where Daniel could start to feel human again. He encouraged Daniel to attend meetings, to connect with others who were also on the road to recovery. At first, Daniel resisted. The idea of opening up to strangers was daunting. He'd been through rehab before, endured the detox, the therapy sessions, the endless cycle of hope and disappointment. Each time, he had hoped it would be different, but the outcome was always the same. But Simon wouldn't let him give up. He was relentless in his support, always there with a word of encouragement or a helping hand. He saw something in Daniel, a spark that refused to be extinguished. Simon believed in him, even when Daniel couldn't believe in himself. With Simon's support, Daniel began to confront his demons. It was a painful process, but he wasn't alone. Simon was there every step of the way. He attended the meetings, sharing his story with a rawness that surprised even himself. The act of speaking out loud was cathartic, a release he hadn't known he needed. He listened to the stories of others, finding solace in their shared experiences. He realized he wasn't alone in his struggles, and that made all the difference. Slowly, painstakingly, he began to piece his life back together. Each small victory was a step forward, a testament to his resilience. He found a part-time job at a local cafe, the simple act of work giving him a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. It was more than just a job, it was a lifeline. He started attending art classes at a community center, rediscovering a passion he'd long forgotten. The creative process was healing, a way to express himself without words. Life wasn't perfect, but for the first time in a long time, Daniel felt a sense of hope, a belief that he was moving in the right direction. He knew there would be challenges ahead, but he was ready to face them.
Thanks for watching.